Hello, my name is Melissa and I'm a licensed professional counselor. I provide outpatient therapy with my Spectrum Counseling, and we are making a Mental Health Awareness Month video to help people learn about different skills that they could use for emotional regulation and just repairing our mental health right now during this crisis and in general for overall emotional and mental health well-being. So I'd like to start with 6 different categories of coping skills that can be helpful in many different age ranges and in many different scenarios. Let's start with distraction. So distraction is something that we may need at a time when we're feeling very overwhelmed by our thoughts and we just need something to pull our attention away for a short time. It's definitely something we don't want to overuse because we always want to deal with whatever problem is ahead of us to the best of our ability. Some things that we can use for distraction that are really helpful are listening to music that you enjoy or new music, talk radio that keeps your mind busy and actively thinking. That could also be things like podcasts. Those are definitely very helpful in distracting us. Puzzles, big projects, cleaning, anything that you feel like keeps your mind busy in a positive way. The next skill we'll talk about is grounding. So we use these skills at times when we're feeling really anxious or almost out of our bodies in a way. We start to feel a lack of control over our breathing, maybe our heart rate, and our thoughts again can get a little out of control. And we want to bring ourselves back to the present moment and here and now. So that's why they consider it grounding. It's like your feet are back on the ground instead of your head in the air. Some great grounding techniques would be using your senses, such as an activity that I enjoy using all 5 senses. You may start by counting 5 pleasant things that you see around you. So right now I could identify some trees, and you might want to point out that there's a bright green color or a nice red flower or birds, whatever you like to identify. I like to stick with things that are pleasant. Of course, it would be easy to say I see some rocks and a roof, but the more pleasant that the items are, the more it's going to bring up your mood and a lot faster it's going to work. But you can do it in any way that you feel is easiest for you. Sometimes when we're really anxious, it's hard to take the time to slow down and identify the really positive things. If all you can do is say, this is what I see, the most important piece is that you are distracting your mind, you're bringing yourself to the present moment and recognizing things around you. And then you'll start to count down. So then you go to 4 things maybe that you hear. So maybe you hear some birds in the background, maybe you hear the wind, or if you're near water, there are some pleasant things there. You may hear children playing or really any sound, somebody cooking in a kitchen or cars going by. You're identifying what is around you. 3 things that you can feel. So you might want to touch something next to you that is smooth or rough. Try a whole bunch of different feels that you can do. Again, outside is a really great place for this activity, but it can be done inside too. And if it's a rainy day and you feel like you cannot go outside, there are some things that we can do that we'll talk about later to make the environment more comfortable for you. So when we keep counting down, you can go down to 2 things that you smell and 1 thing that you taste. It really doesn't matter which one is the 5 or the 4. Whatever sensory item you have around you that is most available is really what you can use. Say you're at a dinner party and there are a lot of different options for taste. You can definitely take the time to ground yourself by trying a bunch of different things. Or if you're in a candle store, you can smell a whole bunch of different candles, and that would be smell 5 things and feel 4 things, whatever order you want to. There are other examples of grounding activities that are a lot faster and that you can use other people's help. Say you're really, really anxious and maybe you're feeling like you're entering a panic attack. There are things you can inform others that are helpful for you so that they can step in and help, such as getting a cold water bottle, drinking something cold will definitely bring you back, or holding ice. Some people do a frozen orange. They'll put an orange in the freezer and they'll keep it there until they need it, if that's something that works for them regularly. And you can drink something warm, anything that's a temperature change for you. Oftentimes people might use a cold or a hot shower or a bath, so those things really slow us down and bring us back into the moment. And also the deep breathing activities that you may have heard around. So a really helpful one is to breathe in your nose for 6 seconds and then you hold it for 4 seconds and breathe out slowly through your mouth for another 6 seconds. And for children, we usually like to say, you smell the flowers, so really nice and slow. They'll smell the flowers and then blow out bubbles. Or you can say blow out the candles, but some children like to blow out candles hard and fast. The important part is not how many seconds or what you're thinking about while you're doing it. It's just that you are controlling your breathing, you feel in control, and you're counting it in some kind of way so that you know that you're able to slow yourself down. And it's a little bit more of that distraction technique that we talked about before. Our third skill is going to be emotional release. So this one's really helpful when we're feeling either really pent up anger or like we really want to cry, a lot of sadness, just something that's a physical energy that's really stuck and we need to release it. So some things that people do is just cry. If you feel like you need to cry, it is okay to cry. That is actually a healthy coping skill. We just want to keep in mind that we're aware of how much we're crying, and if we feel out of control, then there's a need for a different kind of coping skill. So maybe you'll go back to grounding or distraction, but always remember that crying is a healthy thing. The same with screaming. Sometimes it is a healthy thing to go out and let out some screaming or yelling, but you don't want to do it towards anyone or in any way that's going to make someone scared or nervous. So you'd want to make sure that it was in an appropriate location. But screaming can be an emotional release. If you can't do either one of those things, then exercise is a good way to get out physical energy. That, running and hitting the pavement, or, punching bag, punching pillows. I'm sure you've heard a few of these things before, but those are all related in the emotional release. And luckily, laughter is also considered emotional release. So if you do not want to cry and you do not want to exercise, then you can find something that's really, really funny. Laugh out loud, roll on the floor, laughing funny. It can be a movie, it can be clips on YouTube, a comedian, a friend that you call that really makes you laugh, but it is an emotional release and can be really, really helpful. This is a great one that I think we could all use right now, and it is called self-love. So a lot of us are stuck at home right now, and we have a lot of time to think and spend on ourselves. So self-love is anything you can use just on a normal day. It's a very good preventative skill. It'll prevent a lot of negative emotions, and you can respond to some of these hard emotions with self-love. So even if you're not feeling down, if your self-esteem is really great, this is a good way to maintain your self-esteem and to just keep feeling really great about yourself and about your situation. So some self-love activities are taking a bath, going for a walk and exercising, cooking yourself a really nice meal, taking that time to make yourself something nice or a nice treat, a dessert if you like, and painting your nails or just taking care of your nails, filing and cutting, just grooming yourself in general. Brushing your hair can be self-love. And then we go into things like cleaning your room, taking care of your home. Your environment around you becomes a part of how you feel, and how you feel will affect your environment. So everyone is affected positively by you using self-love. Self-love can also be done through our words to ourselves and our thoughts to ourselves. So self-affirmations, telling yourself positive things about your personality, your appearance, the people around you, or a really positive one is counting your blessings every day. You can really change your everyday mood just by counting your blessings at the end of the day. Just maybe journaling or counting out loud or to yourself 3 things that happened that were positive in a day, or that you just have that you're happy to have. Maybe a place to live, maybe family, your friends, a meal that you had that was really great, your pet, anything that you can count, your health. Sometimes it's really hard, but if we push ourselves and really stick to a schedule of 3 things a day, you'll start to notice a very big difference in your overall mood and feeling of things around you. Thought challenging is another skill that can be really tough but really beneficial. So it means that we have a thought that maybe we don't enjoy, it doesn't make us feel good, and we want to challenge that thought. And we challenge it by looking at it and saying, what is my evidence that this is true? And if you do find evidence, is there anything you can do to change about it? And if there is no evidence, reminding yourself that there are other possibilities. So sometimes we get caught in thoughts about how other people feel about us. We call that mind reading. We kind of assume that we know what they're thinking. And there are a lot of ways to counteract that and say to yourself, no, I really don't know what they're thinking. It's possible that they're thinking positively about me or not thinking about it at all. And so we try to challenge that. Same with fortune telling, trying to tell the future, assuming that we know what's going to happen next, which is probably happening a lot right now at a time when we don't have a lot of information. But we can look for that information, and we can at least try to find information that's contrary to what we're thinking. A lot of repetitive thoughts are going to make us feel stuck. And so thought challenging is important to stop ourselves and say, I don't have to be stuck in this thought. I don't have to be stuck in this feeling. And it's a really helpful skill to learn. Lastly, we have higher self. Now, this one is a lot more abstract. It's not as tangible as something that you can just pick up and do, but it is still highly important as a skill for us as we try to emotionally recover and maintain positive mental health throughout our lifetime. And higher self just means that we find something that's bigger than ourselves, that we can focus on and say, I am here for a purpose, I'm here on purpose, here's what I can do to make sure that I feel like this life is worthwhile. And so that can be charity work, that can be your involvement in your family or your community, that can be religion or mindfulness in general, connection to nature, saying it is my job to be a part of this planet and to help it survive. There are a lot of things and causes that we can dedicate ourselves to make us feel like we're not alone and that we are a part of something bigger. And all 6 of these skills come together. We can use them all together at once. We can use them only in the emotions when we need them. But it's really up to you in finding out what works for me, what do I like, what do I need in this moment, and recalling that back to yourself and saying, I remember a time when this was really effective for me, and I'm going to do that in this moment. Or telling other people around you, this is what works for me. So if you notice that I'm really angry, pass me my stress ball that's here, or pass me my little exercise, my hand exercise doodad. I don't really have a name for it, but this really works. It's very strong, and I just found it at Five Below. They're very cheap. There's so many different techniques and activities that you can do as a coping skill. And an introduction mindfulness activity that I like to do is you can have an orange. It can be a part of the sensory activity because there's definitely something to see here. We have a bright orange with lots of little dimples in it. There's definitely something to feel. We have rough parts and smooth parts. And as you peel the orange, the feel changes. You can smell it. Citrus is known to create more positive emotions. Some people use them in an oil diffuser, but if you have an orange right here, it's the same thing. You're opening it up and you're getting that scent of orange and citrus. Same with a lemon. And then you can eat it and you're tasting these different things, whether it's sour or sweet to you. There's a lot you can do just with an orange, and it's a mindfulness activity if what you're doing is fully focusing on the sensations of eating and peeling the orange, and you're not thinking about everything else around you or whatever thought was stuck in your mind. You focus on, okay, here is the orange. And you can use any of your favorite snacks. Just think of a way to do it more slowly and more mindfully, and there you go. You have a meditation activity that is easy and interesting for you to do. I know that I promised I would mention if there's an activity that you can't do outside, what can you do inside? If it's raining or it's nighttime, nighttime is still a good time to go outside and look at the stars or listen to the different sounds that you can hear. But if you're stuck inside and you just cannot find your way outside, it's really helpful to maybe light some candles. That's a good form of natural light. And you can start cooking like we talked about before, or you can just have a nice warm drink like tea or coffee. Hot chocolate is a really great one, and just really bundle up in blankets or your favorite pajamas, watch a funny or calming movie, and just take some time to yourself. There's definitely a lot that you can do indoors and outdoors. And I know there's a lot of pressure for people right now to take the extra time that they have to learn a new skill, like a new language or an instrument. But if all you can handle right now is to make it day to day and you just feel like you're surviving, that's okay too. And I want you to feel encouraged to keep doing that, because every day that you fight to stay here and make it through, your brain is building resiliency. There are real effects going on in your body that say, I can make it, I can do it, and you just keep doing that. And anytime that you use any one of these skills, that we've talked about today, you are building the strength of your brain to be resilient in the future, just days to come or weeks and months to come. You're building that strength. So keep on keeping on. And if you need any more information or would like to hear more from us, please do contact us at myspectrumcc.com, or you can call us. Thank you so much.